What if I told you that getting angry isn't necessarily a bad thing? What if I told you that getting angry can sometimes be a good thing? That God himself sometimes gets angry and he wants you to do the exact same thing. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me ask you a much easier question. What is it that makes you angry? What's that thing that just like makes you boil over? What's that thing that makes you rage, right? Like, is it when somebody gets your Starbucks order wrong, or when they write your name wrong on your Starbucks order? Is it when people, like, if you have your license, when people cut you off in traffic? Is it when your teacher gives you homework on the weekend? Is it like when your parents won't let you go and hang out with your friends? Or is it video games? You know, you're playing Fortnite or like Call of Duty Warzone and you're just like dying over and over. Like, I've played with some of you guys and you guys are just like raging all the time. Like, I mean, if you've ever played Mario Kart and you know you're in first place and it's the last lap and you see a blue shell coming your way, that is like just pure rage and anger. It's like the absolute worst thing. And for me, the thing that, like, when I reflect on my own life, the thing that makes me the most angry right now is this little tiny cute little dog. His name is Dre. Sometimes I call him Dr. Dre. Now, for those of you who don't know, I live in a basement suite, like down under this other family. They live above me, and they have this tiny, cute little dog named Dr. Dre. And Dre just barks all day long. Like, I'm not even joking. Sometimes he'll bark for like 45 minutes straight. I've timed it before. He barks all the time. When I'm working from home, when I'm like eating my food, when I'm like, you know, watching movies and trying to like relax, when I'm reading books, he's just barking all day long. Like, when I'm trying to sleep and get some Z's, he's barking. When I'm like in the shower trying to, like, you know, wash up my physique or whatever, he's just barking all the time. There's no peace, no quiet, and it just makes me so angry. Like, so I'm just like talking to the ceiling at this dog. I like don't know what to do. And I've seen this dog outside a couple of times. He's small, he's cute, he has like little eyes, but he's always barking at me. And we like lock eyes sometimes, and I just like, it takes every ounce of strength in my body to hold myself back because I just want to pick up this dog and like or whatever. Like, this dog just makes me so mad. Like, it feels like because he's at my house that like my full day is just like filled with anger. He's always making me angry because he's always barking. And some of you might be looking at me thinking like, nah, Justin, you're not always angry. That's like, it's a metaphor. Like, you're a pretty nice guy. And there's one theologian, one great guy who kind of sums up my experience. Dr. Bruce Banner from the Avengers, he says, "That is my secret, Captain. I'm always angry." And I know for most of us, this isn't really the case, right? Like, we're not angry every single day, all the time. We're not like raging out like the Hulk, like at the world. We're not just like mad all the time, right? Like, it's a normal thing to be angry. This is an emotion. It's something we all experience, right? It's a normal thing. It's like, anger is this thing that is kind of wired into your very being. It's wired into your DNA. And sometimes it can almost act like a sort of reflex of a sort. Like, it can pop out of nowhere and it can get very easy for us to get angry. And anger can be kind of destructive. Like, take a second and think about when people that are the closest to you get angry. It is not a very pleasant experience. Like, I think about me when I was growing up and my basketball coach or volleyball coach yelling at me in anger. Like, I did not like that thing. Or like when my mom or dad got angry at me, like, that was terrifying. Like, I don't like it when my girlfriend or my friends get mad or angry. It is not a pleasant experience. But like I said at the beginning, like, anger isn't necessarily bad. Anger isn't necessarily a sin. Like, if you read through the Bible, this is weird, but it appears that on many, many different occasions, God himself appears to get angry. And some of us don't really like that, but even Jesus himself, we often pitch Jesus as being this like super peaceful hippie dude that is like all about love and joy and peace. But like, Jesus himself gets angry in the Bible. In the Gospel of John, Jesus walks up into the temple and there's people mistreating other people and they're selling stuff in the temple and they're just misusing this space of God. And Jesus is not having any of it. He goes in there, he starts like flipping tables and freaking out. He like makes his own whip. You can read this. He makes a whip and he's like, whoosh, like, get out of here. People, like, he's like kicking stuff over or whatever. Like, he's freaking out. Jesus is getting upset. But what we also know is in the Bible is that Jesus was a perfect man. So Jesus did not sin. So like, whoa, hold up. What do you mean? Jesus was able to get angry and rage out and make a whip, but yet he still did not sin. That says something to us. That says something about anger. You see, anger is not necessarily a sin. Anger can be a good and right response to evil and wrongdoing in the world. And that is what we see with Jesus here. And we see this also, Paul, in the New Testament, in the book of Ephesians. He says this about anger. Ephesians 4, 26 and 27 says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger and give no opportunity to the devil." So is Paul telling us here to never get angry? Well, not really. That would actually probably be impossible because anger isn't so much an action that we do as it is an emotion that we feel. It's something that we feel. It's something that God has actually wired into your DNA, wired into your very sense of being. So what Paul is saying is that there might be a good type of anger. He's saying that there might be a time and a place for you to get angry, but in your anger, do not sin. Right? In your anger, do not sin. Do not give opportunity to the devil because he will take your anger. The enemy will take your anger and use it for destruction. You see, there are basically two types of anger, right? There is a good type of anger and there's a bad type of anger. And we often are thinking about the bad type of anger. You know, there's a type of anger that leads to destruction, but there's also a type of anger that leads to construction. There's a good and a bad type of anger, but anger can be destructive. Think about all of the riots that have taken place over the past year. Destruction, people angry, going out in the streets, destroying businesses and cars and hurting people. That is destruction. And also think about the type of destruction anger can do into you, into your personal life. There's an article that I read online that lists off a long list of short and long-term effects of prolonged anger or unmanaged anger. And the list includes a lot of things. Here's just a couple of them. Headaches, digestion problems, stomach pain, insomnia, increased anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, skin problems, stroke, and even a heart attack. It's crazy. This is kind of like an infomercial that you'd see on TV. You know, it's trying to sell you a product, but then at the very end, there's this long list of stuff as to why you should, there's all these, you're probably going to die if you buy this thing, right? That's anger. It leads to destruction. It destroys your mind, your body, and your soul. Anger can destroy you. And anger can also distort your view on reality, right? It can distort the way that you view your friends or view yourself or view the circumstances you're in. Have you ever booked a time to hang out with a friend, outside or playing video games with them or whatever it is, and you show up right on time because you are jacked up and pumped up to hang out with your friend, but then they're nowhere to be found. And 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, 30 minutes go by and they're still not there. And at first, you're probably a bit worried about them. I don't know, maybe something happened, they couldn't be here. But as time goes on, you start to get inside of your own head and anger starts to boil up. Why aren't they there? Do they not care about me? Do I care more about them than they care about me? Am I just not a priority in their life? Why are they late? Did they not even care about this? And all of these things start to stir up within you, and then they show up. And maybe they have a legit reason why they're late, but you are just so inside of your head that anger has begun to distort your view of what's going on, and you begin to get sarcastic, you're short with them, you're a bit passive aggressive, and you begin to blow up in your anger, and it's destructive, and it destroys that relationship. Anger can begin to distort reality. But remember, there are two types of anger, right? There's this destructive one that we just talked about, but there's also a constructive type of anger. You see, the Bible's basic paradigm about anger is not no anger. It's not saying that there's no anger, you shouldn't ever do this. The Bible's basic paradigm is not no anger, but slow anger, okay? Not no anger, but slow anger. Here's a couple verses. Here in the New Testament, in the book of James, it says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." And in Exodus 34, listen to how God himself is described in the Bible. It says this, "The Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness." You see, it's pretty clear here that God himself actually gets angry. Anger is an attribute of God, but it's not this disruptive, explosive type of anger. No. He's slow to anger. He's abounding in steadfast love. See, it's this good type of anger. When God gets angry, he's not so much getting angry at you. He's getting angry at something much deeper than this. He's getting angry at your sin and at injustice. Man, this is the type of anger when you look at a situation, you think to yourself that something just needs to be done here. It's like when you get so angry and jacked up about something that is happening in the world that you need to step in and make a positive change. You see, this disruptive, this bad type of anger is totally rooted in selfish desires. It's all about your ego and how you feel. It's very self-centered. But this good type of anger is focused on making a positive change in the world. Now, some of you might be a bit confused here because you do not like this idea of God being angry. You like the idea of God being love and joy and peace, or all those good fancy things. You want to get them tattooed on yourself, put on your Insta stories, or whatever, and that's all great. But you cannot have a God of love without a God of anger. You cannot. You cannot have a God of love without a God of anger, because someone who does not get angry about anything is probably someone who doesn't care about anything. If we're being honest. Someone who never gets angry about anything is probably someone who truly doesn't love anything. Because if you truly love something and you watch that thing get destroyed, you watch that thing get corrupt, you watch that thing being threatened and being treated as lesser than it actually is, and you do not get actually angry, then you probably don't actually love that thing. You probably don't actually care about that thing. You see, the opposite of love is not anger. Anger and love can actually coexist together. The opposite of love is not doing anything. It's indifference. It's apathy. The opposite of love is not doing anything about it. So why is God angry? Because he loves us and the world that he created, and he is angry that sin and injustice are corrupting and destroying the good world and the people living in it. So the question that we need to begin asking ourselves, especially when you get angry, is this: where is your heart when you are angry? Think about that. Where is your heart when you are angry? Are you angry for self-centered reasons, or are you angry against sin and injustice? Are you angry because of your own big ego, or because something in this world desperately needs to be changed? As Christians, we need to join in with God in this good type of anger, in this righteous, in this constructive type of anger, right? Because if you never get angry about anything, that probably just shows that you don't care about anything. If you never get angry about anything, it probably shows that you just don't love anything. As Christians, we need to get angry at sin. We need to get angry at injustice, about poverty, about racism, about lies, about abuse. And don't let your anger just fester and stir up within you. Don't let it boil over and just explode on people. Use this anger as love in motion. Use this anger as love in action. As when you see things that are broken and wrong and disruptive in this world, you let your anger point you in the right direction to step in and make a positive change in the world. See, we are called to be people not of no anger, but of slow anger. Anger that drives out sin, that drives out injustice. Anger that is love in motion, love in action. And the ultimate sign of love in motion was actually displayed by God himself. When he came down here on earth in the form of a man, and knowing that all sin and corruption were worthy of punishment and needed to be destroyed, he went up onto the cross on our behalf, and he took that upon himself, and it crushed him. Why? Because God knew that sin was destroying and corrupting this good world that he made and the people living within it. And he could not just stand by and watch that happen, right? Because he loves us. He was angry, so he did something about it. In the person of Jesus, he came in and he did something. And now he is ushering in a new way of being human, that for whoever would put their trust, whoever would put their faith in this person of Jesus would no longer be defined by sin and corruption, but instead would join in with him, would partner with God in ushering in this new kingdom defined by love and peace and justice. So I ask you again, where is your heart when you are angry? Where is your heart when you're angry? That's the question of the day. Is it constructive or is it destructive? Be slow to anger and let your anger guide you into love and motion to make a positive change in the world. That's all we have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a great discussion. We will see you next week.